Hello students, good morning and welcome to ELA Summer School Week number 2. Of course, I am your teacher, Mr. Oza. This is your second assignment of this summer school course. Remember, if you haven't yet done the first assignment, I want to make sure you do that one first. That assignment is available at ozahlc.com/summer. Link will be below in the description. So if you've completed that and you're ready to go here for the second assignment, let's get it started right away. All right, instructions for this assignment, very simple. In fact, same as the last assignment. Step number 1, watch this video. You're doing that already, which is great, excellent. Step number 2, you're going to watch the movie School Daze on Netflix. So it should be a little bit easier to access a Netflix account. If you don't have a Netflix account, then just let me know and we will make that video available to you. And the third and final step is to complete the assignment on the Google Classroom page. If you haven't joined the Classroom yet, this is the code so that you can join the Google Classroom. Alright, so 3 simple steps to get this assignment done, and then you'll be all set. Alright, so again, our topic for this course is studying African American films. And why? Well, this is a good way, maybe a great way, to learn about another race or ethnic group, doing so through their fiction. Alright, and the filmmaker that we are studying in the first couple weeks of this class is Spike Lee. Highlighted in this particular movie that you're going to watch this week, a great way to learn about the issues that matter to this particular ethnic group. So what was important and what is important to the African American community in the late 80s, and is that the same as what the group is dealing with today? Is it different? You can come to those conclusions as you watch the movie. And then of course, they're just great movies. They're, excellent drama, excellent acting, great plots, great music. So they're just great movies to just enjoy while you're hanging out this summer and taking this summer school course. Alright, so again, the movie that we're going to watch this week is called School Daze. This is Spike Lee's second movie. So as you know, last week we watched Do the Right Thing, which was Spike Lee's third movie. We have a lot of the same actors playing in this movie, and so here are some of the topics that'll be covered, or kind of the themes of this movie, released in 1988. So School Daze takes place at an HBCU, or a historically black college or university. Spike Lee and of course the other actors tackle this issue of fraternity and sorority life. So the idea of kind of Greek style living with your brothers and sisters all in the same house, to some people is a very desirable way to spend your college days. Also, a lot of controversy comes along with it. And so this movie and a lot of the scenes that you will see will come from Spike Lee's actual experiences when he attended a historically black college. When he was younger, before becoming a professional filmmaker. And so a lot of the stuff that you see in this movie is just him kind of explaining the experiences that he went through as a young person. And a common criticism of the fraternity and sorority life is the idea of hazing, which is where you have to, have your pledges, or the people who want to join the fraternity or sorority, have them do some things that are, not very desirable, and hazing them in order to make them part of the group. You see this in sports teams as well. It's a very controversial thing. Also, the idea of colorism, and so I see this in both African American communities and Latino American communities, Indian American communities, where the ethnic group is divided within itself between the people who are darker skinned and the people who are lighter skinned. We see this in all over the world, not just in American communities. But I know for a fact that in my parents' home country of India, you see colorism, and you have throughout the entire history of the country where there are tensions within the same ethnic group, but based on whose skin is lighter and whose skin is darker. And so in this movie we kind of explore colorism in the African American community. One of my favorite scenes, where you have special guest actor Samuel L. Jackson, has to do with social mobility. And social mobility is basically the idea that a person can move up in social class, like moving from the lower class to the middle class or moving from the middle class to the upper class. And so, does social mobility exist in this country? Is it possible to get a good education and work your way kind of up the ladder, so to speak, in life? Also, got to point out that School Daze, this movie, is a musical, a bit of a musical. There are maybe 4 or 5, song and dance numbers throughout the movie. Now, I will be brutally honest with you. Musicals, not really my thing. As an English teacher and just a person who enjoys various fiction in all different forms, try to keep an open mind. But I'm going to be honest with you, musicals, not really my thing. This one. The music I think is pretty good. I think most of the songs help kind of develop a theme and have some meaning behind it. So, if you're like me and you're kind of skeptical of the idea of watching a musical, then just work with me. Try to enjoy it. It's not like the music is the number one most prominent part of the film. It is just one aspect of the film, and like I said, I think the songs are pretty good, the music is pretty good, and most importantly, they kind of help to further along these morals and themes that Spike Lee is trying to get at. All right, I'm going to quickly just share this kind of critical reception of School Daze, this 1988 film. This is just taken right off the Wikipedia page for the movie. Roger Ebert is, one of the more, prominent movie critics in recent memory. So the film received positive reviews for its exploration of issues within the black community. So Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times noted, quote, "There is no doubt in my mind that School Daze, in its own way, is one of the most honest and revealing movies I've ever seen about modern, middle-class black life in America." He also noted its frank exploration of issues of discrimination within the black community related to skin tone and nature of hair. So these are, kind of issues of colorism, which we mentioned on the previous slide. He said it was significant as a film with a completely black orientation. All of the characters, good and bad, are black, and all of the characters' references are to each other. So again, it's like a really good look at just issues within the black community, specifically young people in the black community in the late teens, early 20s age group. All right, let's look at some main characters just to get you just familiar with them as we get ready to watch this movie. So the main character is this guy named Dap. His name is actually Vaughn, but his nickname is Dap, and so you'll hear most of the characters refer to him as Dap throughout the movie. The actor here is Lawrence Fishburne, and Dap is, a senior at this college. It's called Mission College. He is a political activist. He's, well-read, very knowledgeable about world events. He's very much against the apartheid in South Africa. So if you don't know, what the apartheid was, it's basically, segregation in South Africa, where there was minority rule, meaning the minority of the population, the white people, were, forcing segregation throughout the whole country. And so one of the kind of global solutions or kind of ways of dealing with this in the 80s was this idea of divesting. So that means kind of countries separating themselves economically from South Africa, and as a way to kind of send a message to South Africa saying, guys, this is not cool. This is no way to run your country, to have it completely segregated like this. And so he feels very strongly about this, and he wants to kind of fight for equality, for the people in South Africa. That's one of the things he cares most about, and he tries to share that enthusiasm with his fellow classmates here at Mission College. All right, next couple characters here, Julian and Jane. All right, now these are the leaders of the fraternity and sorority of Gammas. So when we get into the the hazing issues, the kind of fraternity, sorority controversies. We're going to see Julian and Jane, Julian here, Jane here, at the front and center. They are kind of in conflict with DAP. DAP, not a big fan of the whole fraternity and sorority scene on campus, and so this creates a natural conflict with the main character. Specifically, Julian engaging in some, without spoiling the story, some pretty questionable behavior here on this college campus. And although this movie, it might be sensationalized a little bit, this is coming from Spike Lee's, experience at historically black college. And although this is not exclusive to historically black colleges, you might see this kind of fraternity and sorority activity at any college or university across the country. All right, over here is Half Pint, this fella with the G on his head, and this is Julian from the previous slide, who is kind of berating him. Who is Half Pint? Well, this is Dap's cousin, so the main character's cousin, and he is a pledge of the Gamma fraternity, meaning that he is trying to join this fraternity. And when you join a fraternity, or sorority, they make you go through a certain process to kind of prove your loyalty and become one of the group. And so this pledging process, quite frankly, in this movie and in a lot of other cases in fraternities across the country, there is some hazing involved. And hazing is when you kind of, if you don't know what that word means, hazing is like, some very questionable activities to show and prove your loyalty to a group. Things that just don't feel right and that are not right, and stuff that you shouldn't have to do in order to ingratiate yourself into a group. This pledge here, Half Pint, is played by Spike Lee. So he is obviously the filmmaker, director, writer, producer who created this movie, and he is not the main character in this movie, but he is kind of one of the more central characters. All right, how are you going to watch this movie? Simple, it's on Netflix. All you have to do is search School Daze, D-A-Z-E, by the way. If you don't have a Netflix login, just let me know and we will come up with a solution for you to make sure you're able to watch the movie. All right, do want to give you this content warning, so pay attention and just hear me out on the content warning. All right, this movie is rated R. There is no explicit nudity in the movie, but there are sex scenes that are, very suggestive. You may not want to watch these scenes. Totally understand if you feel that way. There is a scene that could be viewed as non-consensual sexual activity, so that could be very triggering and make people feel very uncomfortable. They might not want to watch the scene or the movie. There's hazing which we mentioned earlier, fighting, swearing. Movie is a little bit tough to watch in certain points. So if you feel uncomfortable watching these scenes, please go ahead and just skip them. If you feel uncomfortable watching the movie entirely, I totally understand. Don't want to force you into watching this. Okay, so we can come up with an alternative assignment for you to do if you don't feel comfortable watching the content in this film. Alright, so once you are done watching the film, you're going to log into Google Classroom. Alright, you should have already done this step by now if you have completed the first assignment, the Do the Right Thing movie assignment. Once you're done watching the movie, just go to your Google Classroom page. If you haven't yet, use this code to join in the top right corner of the screen on your Chromebook there. You can join the class typing in this code. Alright, you have one assignment to do based on this film, only 4 questions on the assignment. Alright, and so let's go over those questions right now. Question number 1, same as the last assignment. As you watch the movie, I want you to write down 3 things. Okay, if you want to write down more, no problem. Like I said in the last video, If you watch a movie, I want you to enjoy it. I want you to relax, eat your popcorn, hang out, and enjoy the experience. So I'm not usually a huge fan of writing down notes during a movie. It kind of takes away from the experience. So I'm just going to ask you to write down three things, just three minimum. Anything that you thought was interesting, any music that you liked, any characters that you liked, any specific acting that you liked, and of course, anything that you didn't like. I think there's a lot of scenes in this movie where you will be kind of turned away with a negative feeling. Say, I didn't like the vibe of that. So, write that down. Any questions that you have throughout the movie? Why is a character doing a certain thing? And then finally, any connections you see between the movie and the quote real world that you have experienced. Question number 2, you're going to see a list of plot-based questions. So in the Google Classroom assignment, you're going to see a long list to choose from. So there's about maybe 10 questions, maybe 12 questions based on the plot of the movie. Basically, how did you react to certain scenes? All right, out of that big list that you're going to see, you're just going to choose 2 questions minimum to answer. All right, again, those are questions just based on the plot of the movie, your initial reactions and your, opinions on what you see playing out in the movie. Question number 3, not going to tell you. You'll find out after you watch the movie and you see the assignment on Google Classroom. It has to do with the very, very end of the movie. And when people watch the movie School Daze, if you read about the movie School Daze, usually, at least from what I've read, people will jump right into the last scene of the movie and kind of the meaning behind that final scene, the symbolism and the kind of like deep thematic stuff going on with that final scene of the movie. So question number 3, I'm going to ask you about that. I don't want to spoil it for you, so watch the movie and then answer the question. Finally, question number 4, how does this movie impact your desire to go to college? Do you want to go to college and live on campus? Also, would you prefer living off campus in your own housing? Do you want to have a similar experience to what you saw in this film? So this is, a really interesting look at college life in the 80s, specifically the late 1980s at a historically black college. And so, how does this make you feel about college in general? Does it make you want to go even more? Does it make you maybe want to go less? Like, what kind of vibe does it give you with regard to like the college life, and how might this impact your decisions moving forward? So that's all I have for this video. I really hope you enjoyed the movie School Daze. I remember watching it when I was in college as part of my African American film studies class, and it was one of my favorite movies of the whole semester. And I hope you learn a little bit. I hope you enjoy, and I hope that you you learn something from it. So if you need any help along the way with this assignment, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Here's my contact information, phone number right here, email right here, whatever method of communication you prefer, whether that's a call, whether that's a text, FaceTime, Zoom call, I'm available here for all of those things all week. So don't hesitate to let me know. Alright, so guys, I want to thank you for watching this video. Enjoy the movie, and I'll see you again next week for the 3rd assignment.